In 40 AD, the Roman Emperor Caligula marched his entire army to the coast of the English Channel, lined them up in full battle formation, and ordered them to attack the ocean. Not a fleet of enemy ships, not a coastal city, the actual ocean. But it gets better. He declared victory, collected the seashells as war trophies, and sent them back to Rome as proof of conquest. This is that story. To understand why this happened, you need to understand two things. First, Rome was genuinely one of the most powerful civilizations ever built. By the 1st century AD, it controlled most of the known Western world. Its army was brutal, disciplined, and nearly impossible to stop in open combat. Second, Caligula was the emperor. Gaius Julius Caesar Augustus Germanicus, better known as Caligula, came to power in 37 AD after the death of Emperor Tiberius. The Roman public adored him at first. He was generous, charismatic, and seemed like a serious upgrade from the paranoid recluse who came before him. Seemed like. He was 24 years old when he took the throne. Almost immediately, things started going sideways. For the first several months, Caligula governed reasonably well. He canceled some unpopular taxes, welcomed political exiles home, and generally acted like someone who had read at least a pamphlet on being a functional ruler. But then he got sick. Late in 37 AD, he collapsed with a serious illness. Nobody knows exactly what it was. Fever, possibly a breakdown, maybe something neurological. When he recovered, he was different. Ancient historians describe a man who became paranoid, impulsive, and completely detached from normal behavior. He executed political rivals based on rumors. He humiliated senators in public for entertainment. He reportedly planned to appoint his horse to the consulship, which was either a deliberate insult to the Senate, a very dark joke, or evidence that something had gone seriously wrong upstairs. Probably all three. The horse's name was Incitatus. This is a documented historical event. By 40 AD, Caligula needed a real win. He had been planning an invasion of Britain for months. Rome had been eyeing Britain since Julius Caesar arrived there in 55 BC, looked around, and left without actually conquering anything. Caligula wanted to finish what Caesar started, so he assembled a massive force on the northern coast of Gaul, right at the edge of the channel. But the invasion never happened. The army was ready. The ships were there. Tens of thousands of soldiers standing on the coast of what is now northern France, staring across the water at a Britain they were never going to reach. Caligula canceled it. No crossing, no invasion. The whole operation called off. Ancient historians still argue about why. Some say the soldiers refused to board the ships. Others suggest Caligula's mental state made coordinated planning impossible. Nobody left a clean explanation. A normal emperor, at this point, might have quietly marched everyone home and blamed bad weather. But Caligula had a different approach. He ordered the soldiers to collect seashells. Yeah, you read that right. According to the Roman historian Suetonius, Caligula marched his men to the waterline, had them fill their helmets with seashells, and declared these the spoils of the ocean. The Latin word Suetonius recorded was conchae, shells, scooped off a beach, presented as proof of military conquest over the sea itself. He then ordered the construction of a lighthouse on the coast. This part is not disputed. Archaeological evidence confirms a structure was built at Boulogne in northern France, called the Tour d'Ordes. Parts of it stood until the 1640s. Therefore, Caligula now had a lighthouse, a pile of seashells, and an army that had defeated absolutely nothing. But he still needed to explain this to Rome. What Caligula sent back to Rome was, by any measure, one of the most audacious pieces of military spin ever committed to paper. He reported a great victory. He described his soldiers as having defeated the enemies of Rome. He then formally requested a triumph, the massive ceremonial parade that Roman generals held after major military conquests. When senators received this letter, they reportedly went very quiet. The Senate denied the triumph. This was, as you might imagine, not well received by the man who had just conquered the sea. Caligula reportedly threatened the messengers who returned with a denial. He eventually received a lesser honors ceremony, which felt roughly like giving someone a certificate of participation for a race they did not finish. And I cannot stress how stupid this decision was. Now, some historians push back on the seashell story. A few argue the Latin conchae may have been military slang for a type of field equipment. Others suggest the shell collecting was a deliberate humiliation exercise aimed at troops who had mutinied and refused to board ships. These are serious scholarly arguments, and they deserve to exist. But Suetonius wrote it down. Dio Cassius wrote about it too. Two independent sources, same story. And it still sounds exactly like Caligula. Caligula returned to Rome in late 40 AD, having accomplished very little except building a lighthouse and establishing a legal precedent for defeating bodies of water. He brought the shells. He continued ruling. The Senate continued loathing him. In January of 41 AD, less than a year after the beach incident, Caligula was assassinated by a group of Praetorian Guard officers. He was 28 years old. His reign had lasted 3 years and 10 months. In hindsight, not a great call, the whole reign. The Senate immediately moved to erase him. They declared damnatio memoriae, official condemnation of memory, statues destroyed, his name removed from inscriptions where possible. Rome wanted him to have never happened. The seashells were not mentioned again in any surviving record. Nobody noted where they went or what became of them. He declared war on the ocean. He won. Rome tried to erase him anyway. So a Roman emperor genuinely marched his army to the beach, declared war on the English Channel, and sent the seashells home as trophies. The lighthouse he built outlasted his entire legacy by 16 centuries. Rome tried to erase him. The ocean never noticed he existed. Subscribe, and I'll keep finding these for you. Next one is on screen.